Dishonored is one of those good games you want to play when you want to do some strategy, some stealthing, some thinking about stuff, and, make moral decisions that have an impact on the story. Who would have thought that's possible in today's day and age? Well, not many people, especially not the people making games nowadays, but that is besides the point. Now, you see, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Dishonored and how amazing it is as a game. Its mechanics are something interesting, but they are interesting because, let's be honest, they took everything they had from the Thief series. And to be frank, it's a pretty good idea to take everything from Thief and make something like this, especially when you compare it with the latest entry in the Thief series. Well, it's been some years since then. It is a pretty good thing, because Dishonored is remarkable. Dishonored is really remarkable. The enemies can hear you when you walk, the enemies can hear your noises, can see you, and you have to be careful not to get detected, or else you end up in a fight that you will win or lose depending on your skills and how the game treats it, but it will have an effect on the story. The story of this game is split into 3 routes, shall we say them. There's a good route where you don't kill anybody or no bodies get detected, and then there's a bad route which all the bodies get detected and the Empire goes from bad to worse. Trust me, you don't want that one. And then there's like a middle ground where things don't really look that bright like in the good ending, but not that bad as in the bad ending. It's more of your neutral ending. But that's besides the point right now. It's interesting that choices matter in this game, when they don't really matter in most games. What's interesting about Dishonored, besides the whole stealth and split, shall I say, morality choices, is the fact that the game has incredible replayability. You can play it once, twice, thrice, and never go to the same path while doing something. Sure, you might find the best path, but you don't really have to stick to it. You can also pick another one that you haven't done before. For example, in one of my favorite missions, you have to go and end an overseer. You have a few choices to do that. You can brand him as a heretic. You can kill him directly, or you can save a general that's related to one NPC that's kind of friendly to you. Well, it is friendly to you, and you can just do that. There are multiple ways to tackle situations in this game, and I'm not even scratching the surface with it. This isn't the only one. This game is so well made when it comes to this way of taking routes, you might as well consider it to be a System Shock game, or the first System Shock. And let's be honest, Dishonored is the closest thing to an immersive sim we kind of have nowadays. Besides the point, I think it's important to tackle the story, because I've talked about a few elements like the overseers and the NPC friendly to you, but I never really delved into it, and let's delve into it. The main character is named Corvo. He's the Imperial Regent of this fantasy world empire. And as Corvo, you are just coming back from an expedition to find help from the other islands in your empire, because the situation is kind of bad. You see, plague has started to fill up the empire, and it's only getting worse. Of course, when you come back, you meet with the Empress, and things are pretty okay. You're discussing the situation. She has a little daughter that's kind of friendly to you because she likes you, and then the Empress gets assassinated. Yeah, she just dies outright in the beginning, and it is the motivation for what happens next, because the High Overseer and the Imperial Regent, which... Did I call Corvo the Imperial Regent? No, he's just the bodyguard. Anyway, the Imperial Regent and the Overseer are coming and framing you for the murder. It's on the nose that they did it, they even tell you this. And you are set to be executed pretty soon. But you find your help from some allies of the Empire that want to get rid of the Regent and the High Overseer and put back Emily, the Empress's daughter, onto the throne to rule. And everything's good. Now the game starts and you get to explore the world, go through it, and get revenge on everyone responsible for your position in the jail, for killing the Empress, and for kidnapping Emily. It's all good and nice. There's different ways to do it. There's one mission where you have to kill the Regent's mistress, and everything happens at a masked ball, and there are 3 sisters. But you have to guess which one is which. Now, of course, you can go through the easy route, which I always pick is seduce her and then cut her throat open. Or there's a more interesting option where you can give her to somebody that loves her who will take her away and basically remove her from the equation. I think later on in the other two games, it kind of tells you that she murdered him and came back because, of course. Anyway, you get to save Emily because she was kept hostage by the regent in a brothel, which is kind of weird. Also, one of your allies is related to two of the people you have to get rid of, and he kind of takes it badly if you look around. The game has many secrets everywhere you go. You will find bone charms that are basically permanent upgrades you can switch out. You would find bone runes or rune bones, which are very good and help you increase your abilities. Oh, I didn't talk about this. The game has something I really love. It's not only a stealth game, it's also a game that offers you abilities through the mark of the outsider, who is this being of supernatural power that gives blessings to random people in the world, and they can do with those blessings whatever they want. And you get some pretty neat abilities like a blink, a teleport, you can invoke a swarm of rats, you can instantly kill somebody, which I really like. It's a cool ability. The problem is those abilities of the rats and the insta-kill are more for the bad route, and the game kind of forces you on the good route with those abilities. You can't really have fun if you want the good ending, which I really think is a big problem. Nevertheless, let's go back to all the collectibles you can find. You'll also find random notes and diaries here and there that will give you an insight into certain characters' perspectives, motivations, whatever they want, in fact. Whatever problem they have, you'll find it there. And it's not like the world is dead. You'll always find something, some little clues and nuggets of information here and there that makes the world seem just more alive, more interesting to explore and to play through. Now let's go back to the story. At some point, as I said, you find Emily in a brothel. You kill a bunch of people responsible for your imprisonment and the assassination of the Empress. And then you kill the Lord Regent just to make sure the path for Emily is free. But before you can get Emily on the throne, your own allies turn against you and leave you for dead, which is quite unfortunate. But you find a friend in the guy that boats you everywhere to every location to do your missions, and he manages not to put all the poison in your chalice that the conspirators wanted to, and he throws you into a lake. There, who do you think finds you? Who do you think finds Corvo? The guy that assassinated the Empress and his gang. Now, you have to go through his whole hideout, his slums of nothingness or weird stuff that's demolished, and get revenge on him. You get the option to kill him or not, of course, as you do with most other characters. I always pick not to kill him. I don't know why. I know why. Because he is also part of the following two DLCs, and it's funny to see him survive the story. He's also part of the Death to the Outsider game, which I find weird, but whatever, we're not going to get into that one. And then you can move on to get your proper revenge against the conspirators and finally save Emily. And you do that. Of course, the last mission changes dramatically considering what path you went through. For example, if you went the peaceful path, the low chaos path as they call it, well, the game happens during the day and there's less guards. But if you did it at night, if you did the high chaos path, the game happens at night, and boy is it full of guards and people just willing to kill you. Even the conspirators react differently depending if you are on a low chaos or a high chaos playthrough. At the end of the day, they have different modes and ways and different fates when you look at it. Of course, like always, you get to kill them or save them. It's all up to you. Of course, in the low chaos path, in the high chaos path, there are some that you just can't save. And even in low chaos, I think there's one character you can't save because he gets poisoned by one of the other conspirators. Proof that betrayal runs deep into Dunwall, because that's the name of the city. Okay, let's get into some more details about the game. The enemy variation is interesting. It's very nice to have it. At first, you're going to have your normal guards during the city, but then you get overseers, and they have the power to nullify all your abilities with their stupid sound box because they somehow block the magic of the outsider, which is pretty interesting. I have to say, it's pretty interesting, and I like it. It creates a dangerous enemy. Of course, there are also the tall boys, which look kind of weird. They're on big legs and use weird explosive arrows, but they have oil tanks in their back, and if you manage to shoot them, you can make them blow up like a fireworks, which is always funny, but again, always on high chaos. That's the thing. The most fun parts of this game always happen on the high chaos route. It's never something that happens in the low chaos route. It's always high. It's always the high one that gets it. But it's not only human enemies that represent a problem to you. There's also things such as the walls of light, which is basically electricity that vaporizes you. Fun fact, the game makes a note of characters and how they die. But if you can reverse the polarity in a wall of light, and you can, so that it's friendly to you but antagonistic to the guards, and the guard walks through it, that death does not count on your hands, and it does not count on your high chaos or low chaos distribution. There are interesting aspects like this that make the game very well and very nice to play, and it really gives a good sense of replayability. The moment I think I was in my 5th playthrough when I managed to discover the walls of light thing, and it's interesting because you can never play it enough to discover all the secrets it has. And since we are here with the Caesar game, let's also talk about its DLCs. First of all, it's the Dunwall Trials, which is an expansion that will test your knowledge of the game and how certain abilities work and certain other elements. It's very nice, and I think there are speedruns of it and what are the best routes and the best situations to do it, the trials, and they're pretty good. They kind of lose their charm. The best DLCs for this are the following two: the Knife of Dunwall and the Bringmore Witches, or Bringmore Witch. These are two DLCs that don't focus on Corvo, but focus on Dodd, the assassin of the Empress. And boy are they fun. They are way more open as an area than normal Dishonored really is. And you have access to call in your little buddies that can help you kill people and stuff. Of course, there's a low and high chaos distribution, which makes it interesting. It keeps the same formula as the first Dishonored, but everything's different in a way. For example, Dodd's blink isn't really a fast teleport like Corvo's blink. It's instead now a time-stopping blink, and time only moves once you move. So you can technically be like that and take a breather to assess situations and think about what's the best position to be in and where should you be. The story overall just follows Dodd trying to find the Bringmore Witches and them interfering in the situation, and also the fact that he suffers remorse after killing the Empress. But if you're wondering if that's it with the Empress, you don't get to see her in any flashback, here's the thing. The outsider takes her heart, it's implied, and makes her into a device that Corvo can use to detect bone charms and those rune things. Love it. It's pretty interesting. It's the same voice actress. Back to Dodd. These two DLCs really put him into an interesting perspective and can really raise him to a better character and a better feel for things. Because you get to see his situation, you get to see his remorse, you get to see the way he plays and the way you can do stuff with him. And that just makes it more interesting to have him as a character. He enriches the world with his and his assassin's buddies' presence there. Also, I forgot to mention one thing. During the whole playthrough, but it's really heavily implied, it's really confirmed in the High Chaos route that Emily, the Empress's daughter, is Corvo's daughter as well. It's implied that they had a relationship and Emily is the product of that. And one of the conspirators that dies says that we all knew you were screwing the Empress, which is pretty fun. Overall, I say that Dishonored is a game that really deserves looking into and experiencing, because at the end of the day, you won't find a better stealth game out there from that period of time. Unless you play the old, of course, Thief games, which are still very good and they hold up to this day, you won't really find anything that matches. And I don't think there will ever be something that will match it as well. We're just gonna have to wait and see, and maybe, and eventually, never get something proper for it. Because I understand that Dishonored 2 did the same thing they did in Dishonored 1, which I'm not a big fan of. I didn't play Dishonored 2 yet. Didn't look forward to stuff after that period of time. So, overall, I think Dishonored 1 deserves the position of Caesar game. It has great replayability, an amazing story, good DLCs, mechanics that are interesting, not that complex to learn and easy to understand, but sometimes hard to master and finicky to obtain the proper results or something extraordinary. It still holds up to this day as a good stealth game, as a good game in general, in fact. And I highly recommend it.